Hey everyone, it's Dave and Olive. Thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. We talk about the books we've read recently to help spread the joy of reading. We talk a lot of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, but we also mix it up with all other kinds of fiction and non-fiction as well. Today, we've got another tag for you. Okay, so today we're doing the book to movie adaptations tag by Michael Romeo Talks Books. We'll link him below. If you haven't already checked out Michael's channel, you should definitely do so. So this is a series of prompts about movie adaptations of books, movies or TV series. So we'll jump right into it. So prompt number one is, what movie or TV series was better than the book it was based on? And for this one, we're going to say a book that we've mentioned before, because probably more than once, because this is one of our favorite books of all time. And this is Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita. This was first published in 1955, and it is about, it's told from the perspective of a unreliable narrator, Humbert, who comes in the care of an underage girl, basically his stepdaughter, and basically grooms her. So it's a highly controversial book, beautifully written, and I won't go into further detail because I've talked about it before. So there was a movie adaptation of this book. There was actually two movie adaptations. One came out, I think, in 1962, which I admittedly have never seen, which is kind of crazy that I haven't seen that yet, since this is one of my favorite books. But there was another version of the movie that came out in 1997. I hope I have that right. Starring Jeremy Irons and Dominique Swain. And that movie was really phenomenal. It was, of course, touchy subject matter, just like the book. But even though I loved it, this is one of my favorite books, and I loved it so much, I thought the movie was even better. The performance they gave, particularly the performance that Jeremy Irons gave for that unreliable narrator, Humbert, was just great. And it was a very moving, emotional movie. And Jeremy Irons actually achieved the very difficult task of making you actually feel for this, very troubled, nefarious character, and it was just one of those gut-wrenching movies that really impacted you when you watched it, or at least it did to me. So I thought the movie was even better than the book. Okay, the next prompt is, what is your least favorite movie adaptation? So I'm not quite sure if this was I just thought about this for a while. I'm not sure if it's my least favorite movie adaptation, but this movie adaptation was very disappointing to me, at least. And this one is The Martian by Andy Weir. Now, I read the book by audiobook, and I've mentioned this before, that I thought the audiobook was a great performance. In particular, because it's told primarily from the perspective of one person, and there are other people. There are people on the ship and people back on Earth, but mostly it is told from the perspective of the guy that is left stranded on Mars. And I thought the audio performance was just probably the best audiobook performance that I've heard. And so when I watched the movie starring Matt Damon, it was a good movie, and the movie received a lot of acclaim. But I think that anybody that has listened to the audiobook performance would have been disappointed in that movie, as I was. I just thought, maybe if I had read the book, I wouldn't have that same opinion. But because I listened to the audiobook, I definitely like that one better than the movie. Okay, prompt 3. What book would you like to see made into a movie or TV series? This one I had thought about for a little while, And then I came up with this answer: Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. So this is a horror novella, and I've talked about it before, and in particular I talked about it because there has been a graphic novel adaptation of this that just came out actually a few months ago. And that was a pretty cool experience when I read that graphic novel. And we have a video which we'll link before specifically comparing this book to the graphic novel. But I really enjoyed reading the graphic novel because just having those visual, just having the, you know, the graphic panels so you could actually see the story visually. Even though that wasn't normally my preferred type of comic book art, I really liked it because this story was really kind of creepy, and it had a little. So with this, very quickly, what this story was about, it's about a man's living a good life. He's a young professional with a girlfriend, no responsibilities, and he has a chance encounter with a very peculiar boy in the store, and this boy becomes latched onto him, and it like completely changes his life. It has a supernatural aspect of it, and his life literally changes. And so there's different kinds of horror in it. There's that in terms of this boy and what's happening to him, what's happening to the main character psychologically, and there are these entities in the book, and there's so much creepiness that it just really was cool to see those different scenes graphically. And so I think a movie, you could make a great little horror movie out of this one. It would probably need to be a short movie, but I think you could do it really well. You could really do a spine-chilling film based on this book. So I think that would be a good one that would turn into a movie. Okay, prompt 4. What movie or TV series deterred you from reading the book? And this, I was going to skip this question, which I would hate to do. I haven't done that yet in the few tags that we've done. But I was thinking, and I couldn't think of an answer for this book. And then I realized that this was something, perfect answer, is one that we just watched. And this is the series Brand New Cherry Flavor on Netflix. And this is based on a book by Todd Grimson, which came out in 1996. So good luck trying to buy this book now. Now it costs a fortune if you want to try to buy this book. But this TV series, this was one of those TV series, like, it was such a strange experience. I would not recommend watching it. Like, I didn't think it was a good show, but I couldn't stop. It was one of those shows I couldn't stop watching it because it was so crazy. Like, the brief summary says there's about this woman who's like she's a young scriptwriter trying to break into the business, and she writes a script and brings it to this producer. And this is not a spoiler, it happens right away. The producer basically steals it from her and picks other people to make the movie and leaves her out of it. And so she goes and finds this sort of like witch to place a curse on this guy. And because of that, the two of them get connected, like they inextricably connected to each other. And so all this like crazy stuff starts happening to people around, to her, people to this producer, and people around him, and it's pretty extreme. There's a lot of body horror, and it's really graphic show. Like I said, really, really extreme horror. And it was just crazy, like the stuff that was happening in this. I don't know who out there saw it. If you have, leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of it, because it was one of those weird ones where, like I said, I wouldn't say it was good. But I think there was like 8 episodes, and I watched them all like pretty quickly. I pretty quickly binged it, and I can't explain why. It's like a train wreck. I couldn't take my eyes off. I couldn't stop watching it. But I would not recommend that anyone watch it. So I don't know. If a season 2 comes out, I'll probably watch that too. I don't know, but I will not go read this book, especially with the fact that it actually costs a fortune to buy. But even if it didn't, I wouldn't go read this because I don't know. That book totally dissuaded me from reading the book version of it, even though I couldn't stop watching the show. Don't ask me to explain it. I don't understand. All right. So, what is your favorite book to movie or TV adaptation? So this is actually Michael had used this for one of his answers, but for a different prompt. So that is Contact by Carl Sagan, and this is I've talked about this book before because this is one of my all-time favorite movies, and definitely my favorite science fiction movie of all time. And it's based on the stars Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, and Jodie Foster is an astronomer that discovers basically a wow signal. And the wow signal, if you don't know, was a signal that we uncovered from space that had a repeating pattern. It sounded like it may have been coming from an intelligent source, i.e. aliens, but it wasn't repeated. So we were never able to reconfirm it. And it was known as the wow signal because the astronomer that saw it circled it and wrote the word wow next to it. So this is a story about that. Jodie Foster discovers basically a wow signal. And so it launches them. They get a message from this alien race that's very, very far away, and they go to build a device so they can travel. And Matthew McConaughey, she's a scientist. Matthew McConaughey is a man of the cloth, and so there's it explores a lot of different issues. They have a close relationship, but there's a science-religion dichotomy, and the great science fiction adventure that they're going on here. And it was just it was so good in so many different respects, that movie, and like I said, one of my favorites of all time. And so that would be my favorite book adaptation, movie adaptation of a book. Okay, prompt 6. What previously adapted book would you like to see remade and improved? And this is from a comic book. We don't talk about a lot, but we do read comics and graphic novels. One of our favorite superheroes is the Green Lantern. We read superhero and non-superhero comic books, but and so this movie was adapted in what year was this? 2011. 2011, and starring Ryan Reynolds, and that movie was absolutely horrible. I think even Ryan Reynolds is embarrassed of that movie, and I love Ryan Reynolds, but this movie was absolutely atrocious, and they really ruined a good chance. This is a great character, the Green Lantern. I love the comics, and they just, I don't know. There's a lot of questions about how well DC is doing, building their DC universe, but however you feel about this, this is still an exception. This was horrible, and I hope they redo this because they could redo such a better job with it. But we'll see. Probably never happen, but we can hope. Okay, prompt 7, what book series made it into a movie or TV series is your personal favorite? So this would be The Planet of the Apes. La Planète des Singes, originally in French, published in 1963. It was one book that started this, and it was made it's translated in English and made into the first movie in 1968, and spawned a whole series of movies. So there have been subsequent remakes or reboots. There 2001, I think it was the Mark Wahlberg version, which was not very good, and then they rebooted it again, I think 2011-ish. I think that's right. And that spawned a whole new rebooted series, which was better. But still, the original, of course, is I like modern stuff. I tend not to like old stuff so much, but Planet of the Apes is a special case. That original series of movies, especially the good one, phenomenal. One of my favorites. It all started with the one book, but it spawned this series of movies, which was really, really good if you haven't seen them yet. Okay, so tag some friends who love books and movies. So I was trying to think of who might not have done this yet, or a similar tag like this. And so first, who I'd someone I'd really like to see do this is Michael K. Vaughan. He's read a ton of books, but I know he's also read a lot of movies, watched a lot of movies, and I would really like to see his take on some of these questions, and really would like to see his responses. I'd also want to tag Juan over at Plagued by Visions. I would really like to see, he's got more of a kind of a special set of books that he's interested in, but he's read a ton. And so I would really like to see more on, transgressive horror side. And so I'd like to see, in that context, some of Juan's answers to these questions. And then finally, Fred, over at Read by Fred. I'd like to see what his answers. I think it'd be cool to see what his answers to some of these questions are, because I know he's both a book and a TV lover. So, so that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, as always, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you get notified the next time Olive says it's okay to upload another video. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.